I'm not a huge manifestation guy, but it's almost, in hindsight, it's almost like I manifested this whole thing into reality.
So we meet again, but in a different country this time.
In a different country, in a different city. Yeah.
Amazing.
Happy to be here again.
Yeah, happy to have you back on the channel.
Thank you.
How's your trip been? You're traveling with your brother?
Yeah, I'm traveling with my brother right now. This is something we've been planning to do, and we've not been together this long since we were kids.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the second week of our travel. So it's been intense, but we haven't killed each other yet. So I think we're okay. Yeah.
Cool.
And Lisbon's awesome.
Yeah.
I've been wanting to come back to this place, and now that I have, I think I like it even more. I'm completely falling for this place.
It's not bad, yeah?
Yeah.
It's your second time here?
Far from bad. Yeah, it's second time. Second time in Lisbon.
Mm-hmm. What have you been up to so far?
I'm on holiday right now. Mm-hmm. Even though I'm still sometimes dipping in and out of work, I'm technically on holiday. So in the first week, which is the previous week, we've done Tony Robbins in Cologne. We've seen him live, which was like seeing Tony Robbins live is like an experience of a lifetime. And then we flew down to Porto in Portugal, and then we drove down south all the way to Lisbon. Did a few stops along the way, which was a lot of fun. And now we're here. This is the final stop of our road trip.
Mm. For the people that don't know you yet, can you tell us a bit about yourself and an overview of what you do and what you've done in the past and so on?
Sure. So my name is Zali, or Zoltan, whichever you prefer. I'm from Hungary, and I'm a digital entrepreneur. I run a publishing company that I founded back in 2019. Well, I started it in 2019, and then it became a company sometime around 2022. And it's a production company, and we are in the book business. So technically what we do is we produce and market fiction books. And our focus area is romance fiction. Mm. So that's what I do, and how I came to do it. That's a very long story. How detailed do you want it to be?
Maybe you can give us the rough outline.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is something that I've started back in 2019. I was kind of dabbling in and out of it. And then COVID hit. And that's when it really became a business. But this is something I've been wanting to do for a very long time. And when I say this, I'm referring to becoming an entrepreneur, or somebody who works for himself. Mm-hmm. I've worked for several companies back in the day when I was an employee, and somehow I always felt like I can never really fit into the corporate culture. So I've been wanting to do my own thing for a long time, except I didn't know how to start or what to do to begin with. And then COVID hit, and I was laid off from my job. And that's when I thought, okay, this is the time. Like, if I'm going to do it, this has to be it. And by then I had like a vague concept of the things that are important for me in a business.
So there was like a combination of things happening then at the same time. You had this kind of idea of starting a business for quite a while, and the circumstances with COVID kind of created this situation.
It was sort of like the perfect storm. So first of all, I was ready. I was ready to make a drastic change in my life. And also COVID hit, and the world around me has changed, as you know. I saw that as an opportunity, as terrible as it was, because it was terrible for a lot of people. For me, it was a gift, because I was able to keep my head down and just focus on my business during that period.
Seems like a lot of people started businesses during COVID. It's like certainly a silver lining in COVID.
I think so, yeah. I'm definitely not unique in that sense.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who started out and have been doing pretty well since then.
Right. There's always a silver lining in all tragedies somehow.
Yeah. Yeah. Word.
So now you're running this publishing company on Amazon.
Yes. Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, fast forward 5 years, we now have this company, and I now have this team, and they're just a bunch of incredible people. They have my back, and I have theirs, and it's such a pleasure to work with them.
Right.
You know, we've been building this thing together for a number of years now.
Yeah.
And it's just been an incredible journey.
So now you're a team of 4 people, if I remember?
We're a team of 4 people who are constantly working in the company, and then we have a bunch of freelancers who work for us, like, occasionally.
Okay, so for kind of full-time?
For full-time, if you will.
Okay. And then a bunch of freelancers doing some ad hoc stuff.
Exactly.
All right.
Exactly. That's where we're at right now.
Wow. Okay, and there's been quite a journey to get to this point, I assume.
It has. It has been tough. It has been a really tough journey for me. It was, I believe there's two kind of entrepreneurs. You have those kind of those people who are very driven individuals, and they have like a vision for something, or a particular problem that they want to resolve, or they've gone through some shit themselves and they want to help people not go through the same shit.
Right.
You have that group of people, and then you have the other group where it all comes from pain. And I'm part of that group. So I was just not happy. I was dissatisfied with my life and where it was going. I was approaching my mid-30s at the time, and I just didn't want to continue living the way I was living. Working for a company, living off of a salary, and being tied to a location. I always had these visions of me being able to travel wherever I want to, whenever I want to. And I'm not a huge manifestation guy, but it's almost, in hindsight, it's almost like I manifested this whole thing into reality.
That's super interesting.
I hope that doesn't sound too...
No, not at all.
Sound too big-headed, or like I don't want to...
It sounds normal to me. I mean, all these kind of Tony Robbins and all of these people are also into kind of this manifestation stuff. So on a very high level, I guess even people do this kind of things.
I think so, yeah. I believe so. Yeah.
Can you elaborate a little bit more on that manifestation part? How did you go about that?
To actually going back to where I stopped before, COVID starts, and then I have like a list of preferences that I want to have in my life. I'm not sure how to put it. So like, to give you an example, I wanted a business where I do not have to work with clients. And that's not because I have a problem with people. I love people, but I do not want to depend on client work. Like, I do not want to depend on Zoom meetings. I wanted to be able to do my job wherever I want.
Yeah.
Or whenever I want. So I didn't want time zones to be an obstacle. I didn't want to be up at night doing Zoom meetings. That was one thing. The other one was that at the time I was living in the UK, and I wanted to become location independent. I was, as I said, I was approaching my mid-30s, and I was becoming increasingly aware of the fact that my family and my parents are in Hungary, and I wanted to be able to go and visit anytime I want to. And so location independence was a big thing. And then this is where the manifestation bit comes into play. I came across this ad for a training on how to create short books for Amazon. And I clicked on it, decided that I'm gonna give it a go, bought the training, did it, and that sort of became the foundation of what this thing is today.
Randomly come across this ad?
Yeah, and that's where I feel like it's almost like.
But your mind was already kind of focused on something, so, and it maybe picked it up then more
That's
easily.
where it feels a little bit esoteric to me, and what I mean by that is I already had this idea in my mind that, oh, I want to create something that I can do almost like offline, where I don't really have to interact with clients all the time, and it's also location independent.
Yeah. Had you explored multiple different business models before this, or like how come you choose this specific one, like ebook publishing?
It seemed to fit my set of preferences. That's the simple answer. I have explored a bunch of other business models, not too many, but this seemed to be the most appealing to me. It was just, it was just interesting. Like, I found it fascinating.
What part of it? The publishing, the writing, or like the whole business model?
All of it.
Scalability?
All of it. So it's like, how does a product come to life? Like, what aspects of product, what does it look like to create a product from scratch? What are the steps of that process? How to turn a product into something extraordinary, something that nobody else does. Like, and I was really detail oriented in those things. And that that part of the whole process seemed to be very, very fascinating to me. How do you create something that's compelling for people? Mm-hmm. And also, how do I create stories that are in demand on the market, but at the same time they're also different from what everybody else does? So like that sort of thing was really fascinating to me.
Right. So the creative angle on all of this.
Yes.
So if you would remove this kind of book publishing thing, it would maybe not be as creative, and it sounds like creativity is then something that is important to you.
I didn't think that at the time, but I think in hindsight, or looking back now, I think it is. I do love the creative aspect of the business.
Yeah.
I do love the fact that I get to create something that I can then put out, and people engage with it, and they buy it, and they read it, and they like it. Sometimes they hate it. And then I get feedback, and then I get all this information about what I can do better next time.
Right.
Like the science of, it's almost, the way I see these fiction books is almost like a recipe. Like you got salt, you got pepper, you got the ingredients. And how do you turn that into an actual meal? In what order do you insert the ingredients?
Yeah.
At what point do you put in the salt? And at what point do you put in the onions? It's the same principle with the story.
Yeah.
And I just really enjoyed creating these stories and bringing them into life and turning them into books. So I think that's by the way, the lesson to me in that is that is a really important aspect of business. Mm-hmm. Like that sort of drive, that sort of fascination with whatever you do. I think that's a core. The word doesn't come to me in English, but that's really important for to be successful at what you do.
A core driving force or something.
You could call it that.
Something like that.
You could call it that.
I feel the same with business, that I could not sell some generic stuff that I don't feel passionate about somehow. I have tried that and it didn't work for me. I need something that I can pour my more heart and soul into, if you will.
No, I agree with you. I think it's also not really sustainable if you just try to create something just for the sake of making money.
Yeah.
It can't really be. I find that money can't really be the focus. It has to be almost like a side product of what you do. The focus is always what you do, and the passion, the energy, the long hours, the blood, sweat, and tears that you pour into that thing. That is the focus, and the money that it makes is almost like something that happens as a natural consequence of your passion.
It's so well put. And I think this is like a message worth repeating out there, and that's why it's being repeated out there as a lot, that money will come as a side effect to following your passion or excitement in life.
I suppose this could be a lesson for those who are just starting out. Because
there's a lot of shiny objects out there today with social media. Yeah. Everybody wants to sell you something from all directions at the same time.
For sure.
And it's just so much noise.
Yeah.
But following your passion and your true excitement, that's the way to go, I think, for longevity.
For longevity, yeah, because you're not going to be able to sustain it for very long if you're not excited about what you do.
That's the thing.
Yeah. I don't know if you want to take the conversation into that direction, but passion is also a fascinating thing, because I certainly didn't have my passion when I was starting. Like, I wasn't going into this thing being passionate about it. The passion was almost like money. It came as a side product of what I was doing. I just wanted to create something because I didn't want to live my life the way I used to. So I wanted to sort of pull myself out of my own little rut that I created for myself in my life. That was the driving force.
You needed just a vehicle for this.
And I just needed a vehicle. I just wanted to make some money. And I thought, oh, this could be good. And then the more I went in, the deeper I delved into this thing, the more I understood it, the more I learned about it, the more I was fascinated with it. And eventually I just woke up one day and I found that, hold on a second, I'm actually passionate about what I do. So I believe that's how passion is developed. And I'm saying it to those who don't have their passion, because I think there are quite a few people out there who don't really know their passion is or what they really love doing. And we get this from all directions on social media. Oh, follow your passion, follow your dreams and all of that. But what if you don't know what those are?
It will not come automatically to you.
It will not. You develop them.
You develop it as you go.
I think so.
The path illuminates as you start walk it.
I think
it's
so.
one of my favorite expressions, by the way, because I think it's so true.
Because that's so good.
The path illuminates as you start walking it.
The path illuminates as you start walking it.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That is beautiful.
Yeah.
That's how passion is created.
That is how passion is created. First step is curiosity, to try something, and then just, doing it, basically.
Yeah.
Start taking those first initial steps.
Absolutely.
There's no other way in life.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you get stuck in analyzing things and theorizing, and it won't get you anywhere.
Yeah.
Practicing and getting data points as quickly as possible. It's the only way to go.
Action beats rumination any day.
And that's what Tony Robbins always says, right?
Yeah.
Action is the cure-all.
For sure.
One of his famous
he does say that, yeah.
quotes.
I totally vibe with that.
We talked a little bit about it on the last time around, but the upside of selling digital products specifically.
Oh yeah, this is one of my favorite questions. We did talk about this last time, I think, but in hindsight, I felt that we were a little bit all over the place. So I'm glad we're going over this again. I can tell you my point of view, and I think I can make a very strong case for digital products. What I love about going completely digital is that you create the product once, and then you can sell it an infinite amount of times, right? So if I'm selling, and I think I used the same example last time, if I'm selling stainless steel water bottles, then, and this is my stock, and you're my customer and you buy this from me, then I'm out of stock.
Yeah.
And I have to get more stock in order to stay in business.
Right.
But with digital products, this thing is on the internet, let's say it's a book, and I only have to create it once. I have to, of course, be very detail oriented and put a lot of thought into it, but I only have to create it once, and then I can sell it an infinite amount of times. Yeah. And a book is a perfect example, or training courses, or whatever. The other upside is that you do not have to worry about shipping and returns and stuff like that. So if you're my customer and I just sold you this water bottle and you're all of a sudden not happy with it because even though it's stainless steel, there's plastic in the cup.
Yeah.
And that was not on the product description, and now you're unhappy and you're pissed off and you want to send it back and you want a refund. Now, as a business, I have to handle that too. Unless I'm on Shopify or Amazon, wherever they handle the whole thing for me. But it can still get challenging. But with a digital product, there's no returns, there's no shipping, there's none of that stuff involved. So that's my case for digital products. That's why I love it. You just create it once and you can sell it an infinite amount of times. And I have books that were created 3+ years ago, some of them 4 years ago, and they are still making some profit, even though I'm not even advertising them anymore.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
They're in the back of my bookshelf or portfolio, whatever you call that in my case. They're still there because I put them out 3 years ago or whatever, and they are still making some money.
That's amazing. So
there you go. That's my case with digital products.
It's a big selling point, obviously.
Yeah.
So on the topic of validating a product, how do you go about validating a new book, for example? Do you use any AI tools, Facebook ad library? How do you go about it?
I use AI tools, but not for this particular thing. It's an interesting question because I find myself not doing a lot of validation these days. And the reason for that is because I think I have a fairly strong understanding of the market. Of course, I always check other authors in my genre, and I always check out what they do just to make sure I'm up to speed on where the market's at.
Competitor analysis.
Yeah, of course. But I think I can fairly confidently say that I now know the market well enough to be able to predict what's going to do well and what isn't.
Okay, that comes from experience?
It comes from experience.
You have a few years now under your belt.
I've got 5+ years behind me right now.
So initially when you started out, was it different, this whole process of validation?
It was absolutely different. And before I go into that, I want to add that as I said what I just said now, I was thinking, maybe I am getting arrogant. You know, maybe I should go back to market research because I think for business owners it's always really important to not get carried away with how well they're doing. I was also thinking to myself that you can never get arrogant as a business owner. You can never assume that, oh, I know what my market wants. It's always a good idea to go back to product research. So it was good that we had that question, because now I'm gonna, next week when I go back to work, I'm gonna go back and do some market research.
Okay.
Yeah.
Keep yourself on the toes, so to speak.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah, and I think that's an important lesson for every business owner. And what was the second part of the question?
What kind of tools you use more practically to do market research, basically?
So back when I did most of my market research, there was no AI or none of that stuff. Creating businesses today is a lot easier because of AI. You can just go to ChatGPT and ask it anything and it will literally teach you how to do stuff. But back in the day, what I was doing is I just went on Amazon. I looked up a bunch of bestsellers in the genre that I was looking at. So first I picked a genre, let's say, I don't know, a dragon shifter romance, whatever. That's an actual genre. And then I went into that category and I looked at what books are doing well. I collected a bunch of these books and then I started analyzing them. I bought some of them. I would read them. Just to understand what is it they're doing in order to become bestsellers.
Amazing.
So in my case, that was market research.
Okay. Did you also talk to users?
So not really, but I would go into the book pages of these best-selling books, and I would read the reviews as well. So to put it more, because I feel like that answer was a little bit all over the place. To give you a more well-structured answer.
Yeah.
The way I would do market research is I would look at a category of books. So for example, dragon shifter romance or self-help books or whatever it is that you want to do. You go into that category on Amazon and you check out the category's best-selling books. Let's say you collect 10 of those. And once you did that, you start analyzing them. You go to the book pages. You look at the covers, the commonalities in the covers, the commonalities in the book descriptions. I also bought a bunch of books and I read them to understand what these books are doing to become bestsellers. Like, what is it that makes them a bestseller? So that's what I did for market research when I was starting out. And of course, once I had enough data, I started applying that to my business.
This can be applied to any industry you're going into. So you first pick the category or the niche you want to go into, and then you see what are the top players in that category and niche, and why they're doing so well, and check user reviews.
I mean, I don't have a lot of experience in other industries, but I would assume that the same principle can be used in any industry.
Definitely.
I mean, look, if you're making, again, back to the water bottle example, if you're making stainless steel water bottles, you want to understand every aspect of that product. Who are your most successful competitors and what are they doing to become successful? I think that's a big one.
100%. Do you think it's better to go after a small niche market or a larger market when starting out?
It really depends on what you do, I think. In my
How did you go about it?
In my case, I had to go for the I wouldn't use the word small, I would say specific. So I went for a very specific niche. In my case, it's mafia romance. Which means that the male protagonist is usually some sort of a mafia guy. Either an assassin or a mafia boss or an enforcer.
How did you come up with this specific niche?
Well, I was looking at what the market was like. I was looking at books that were doing well. Yeah, I was scanning a bunch of niches, and then I came across this niche, and the books in this particular niche were doing very well. So I thought I'll give it a shot.
So very, very data-driven, very based on.
It was a super data-driven decision.
Okay.
In my case.
That's
remember, as I mentioned earlier, at that point, I just wanted to make some cash because I was so unhappy with being an employee that I just wanted to get myself out of that state and make some money. So it was very data-driven.
Right. I'm not sure if it's applicable to your industry, but I have a question about building in public versus secretly.
What you mean by that is, do you talk about your goals to other people?
Yeah.
Or do you just keep your head down, shut the hell up?
Basically.
And it's an interesting one. I don't know the answer. I don't think there's a universal answer. In my case, I did talk to people about it, but I was so enthusiastic that nothing could really deter me from what I was doing. There was this study that I read about. The whole conclusion was that talking about an idea versus actually working on an idea triggers the same response from your brain.
Right.
And
Dopamine
again,
hits or something.
Exactly. Triggers the same
Reward system.
hormone
something.
production or whatever. I can't give you the scientific
Sure.
terminology. So the conclusion was to not talk about what you're doing. Because if you get the same level of satisfaction from talking about the thing that you're doing,
Yeah.
then your enthusiasm might go away as a result.
Very, very, very good.
So it's better to use that energy to build
To
the actual
actually
thing
build
that
the
you're
product.
doing versus talking about it.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, so in software these days, people build in public is a very common thing where you go on X or LinkedIn and you say, hey, I'm building this software. What do you think? And this is the updates, this is the progress, and hence the term build in public.
Okay.
So that's a kind of a little bit different thing. And I think it's very popular to get early user feedback.
Well, that's you do that because you want feedback, right? So there's a purpose. So I think that's okay. But if you just go around talking to people about your business idea for no reason whatsoever, that doesn't make sense.
That doesn't make sense.
I would rather use that energy to do the actual thing that I'm building.
Right.
Or build the actual thing that I'm building, I should say.
In terms of business plan, how much research should you do there before you're actually taking action, so to speak?
That's a good one because I don't think I think research has to be continuous. Look, I'm just going to translate this to my example. So what I've done is I've done a lot of research at the beginning, almost too much, until a point when I was like, you know what, I should actually put this thing into, like actually do something with this information rather than just trying to collect more information. It was almost like a place of analysis paralysis.
Yeah.
And you don't want to be there.
That's the risk, right?
Yeah, that's the risk. Because if you do way too much research, then at some point the question becomes, okay, where do you draw the line? Where do you say, okay, I've got enough data now. Now I want to go and actually do something with this data.
Yeah.
So I know I was struggling with that because I can be quite analytical.
Yeah. So where did you draw that line?
So I don't really know where to draw that line.
Still, to this day.
Still to this day. So I don't think I'm the right guy to give you or to give anyone advice on that.
At some point you went into practical action and you actually built this business out.
Yeah.
So you must have found some kind of...
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, there is a time to collect data and analyze the market, but then it's not going to be of much use if you're not going to use that.
Apply it.
To build something, to build the thing that you want to build.
Yeah. Getting data points early is the way to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actual practical feedback and stuff like that. That's for sure. That's for sure.
Sure, yeah. Yeah.
So when you have a product built out, what is the best way to get this in front of as many people as possible, in your opinion?
Okay. I think that depends on where your business, like what stage your business is at or in. Like in the early days, I was only doing organic because I wanted people to give me feedback without spending money on that feedback. First of all, because I didn't have any money to spend. Second, a product that I believe, and I obviously came to understand this much later on, but I believe that a product that does not work organically is not going to work via paid ads. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense.
Phrasing it the right way, but the idea is that
Otherwise, it would just be like live support if you're throwing ad spend at the product in a way. It feels like to me, in a way.
I think so.
You don't really have a solid offer.
I think so, yeah. I think so. try and, if you've got a product, try and make it work organically first. That would be my advice.
That's a good.
And then if it checks out, if you get a positive feedback, if a few people buy your product, then you can consider starting paid ads.
That would validate product market fit for sure.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so, and that was certainly what I've done. But for other reasons, I was going to run paid ads right from the get-go, but I couldn't because I didn't have cash. But in hindsight, I'm glad I didn't.
Very interesting. So how did you market organically with an ebook?
I think this is slightly different in every industry. In my case, I had a bunch of tools at my disposal. I had social media. I had a tool called the Book Funnel, which is where you can build your email list. It's like a $10 subscription per month. So I bought that and I used it to build my email list. I entered a bunch of book promos that the platform was running with other authors. And then, of course, once I had my email list, I had a few hundred subscribers on my email list. I started sending letters, what do you call that? Newsletters to them. And then,
so you built up a newsletter list.
Yeah. And then there was some sites where you could promote your book for free. Obviously, they didn't draw much traffic, but it was free. So I was like, yeah, I'll just go for it because why not?
Cool. Right? So with these constraints, you get really creative and you find all these different pathways, which is an interesting point in itself, I think, here.
Yeah.
So having a ton of cash versus being limited on cash will kind of yield different. You can either throw a lot of cash on ads and things and kind of brute force a product launch, I would imagine, or you can be more limited but then be very smart and creative and find this kind of, I think that's a very interesting topic in itself.
I think so. You know, I'm glad you bring this up because there's actually in my case, I know there's a lesson in there. So you remember at the beginning I mentioned that I did this course when I was starting out in this industry, and this course came with a Facebook community. So I was starting out with a bunch of other people, and I remember there were a few guys and girls who started doing really well very early on, and they were all running paid ads. They had cash, and I didn't. And in my case, I had to rely on organic methods. I had to do almost like guerrilla marketing. I had to get very creative. And what that helped me do is it made me understand the market much deeper than they understood it. And I only realized this later on, because these guys that were doing really well at the beginning, guess what? They're not in business anymore.
And hence validating my whole thesis here.
So this proves your point.
Yeah.
Being financially constrained at the beginning and having to rely on your own creativity and grit and will to make it happen can actually be very beneficial, because it will get you to understand the market in ways that you would never understand the market if you were just running paid, if you were just throwing in a bunch of cash running paid ads. I think that's
very encouraging for new founders as well. I would say. So you don't need this kind of VC backing or maybe like a ton of cash to get started with an idea, and I think that's very inspiring, actually.
You don't need cash to get started with a business.
No.
Even when I got started, which is not a long time ago, it's only 5 years, but it was still a very different kind of time because we didn't have AI. I still had to Google stuff. Now you can go on a free language model, ChatGPT or Gemini or whichever, type in a question and it will give you the answer to your question. Like you're not Googling something anymore and then trying to find the appropriate answer to your specific question on a bunch of Google pages, right? You type in your specific question and you will get an answer to that particular question. Like that is such a huge advantage compared to when I was starting out, because I didn't have that tool. So, and these language models are free, right? So today, I think it's just such an interesting time.
It's a very interesting time.
You can start a business so super easily.
Yeah. AI helps you validate ideas super quickly.
Exactly.
I've been using perplexity.ai. It's a research mode.
I have Perplexity.
And it's amazing. It's just mind-boggling how good it is.
I haven't tried it yet. Oh,
it's
yeah.
like your personal research assistant. So in terms of scaling and automation, how do you think about automation and delegation? Where should someone start, so to speak, in this domain? Where did you start? How did you go about it?
It's a broad question, so I'm not sure where to start answering it.
Because in the beginning, as a solopreneur, you do everything yourself, right?
Yeah.
So what is kind of the first task you would say once you have escape velocity to delegate?
Well, I can only rely on my experience. I know that the reason I'm able to delegate tasks is because I understand them really well. So I can do a good handover. This is also why a lot of people, and again, this is just my example, so this may not be universal. Don't take this with a pinch of salt, but for example, the people that outsourced their advertising, and I'm talking about the people in my industry, the people who outsource their advertising to advertising agencies, most of them are no longer in business. And my understanding there is that they were relying on an external resource to handle a very crucial aspect of their business, which is marketing. In my case, my aim was to understand every aspect of my business in detail, so that I can outsource it later and know exactly what to expect from who I'm outsourcing to. And of course, that's a lot of work to understand every aspect of your business.
Yeah.
So again, you have to put in the work.
Another major, super valuable key point, I think, for anyone starting out.
I think so. Yeah.
So the more upfront work you can do as a founder, the better longevity your business will have. That's kind of my conclusion.
In my case, that's definitely the answer. But again, I don't think my advice should be looked at as something completely universal. But in my case, that's definitely the case. Like for me, I wanted to understand every aspect of my business down to the last detail. Not because I wanted to handle all of it myself, but because I wanted to make sure that if I do a handover to a freelancer or to whoever, I wanted to make sure that I understand that aspect of the business, so that when they do the work, I know exactly what I can and what I cannot expect from them.
I think that's the perfect way to go about it. That's how I would handle things myself.
Thanks.
But unless you want to scale like 100x in a month or something, then you obviously need to outsource. But then I also feel that it might not be sustainable.
I mean, it does work for some people. It's just I'm just not that kind of guy, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, I like detail. I like data. I like to delve into the nitty-gritty stuff.
So it's definitely a balancing act, because I feel we both might have that kind of a little bit control factor. We want creative control and stuff.
Yeah.
So you also need to find that balance when you actually should delegate, right?
And I understand why some people would call me a control freak for how I look at things. And also, this is definitely not the way to become a billionaire. Like, if you're a billionaire, you want to scale fast. You have to do things very differently. But in my case, this is like, my business is really important for me. It's my baby, and I want to understand all aspects of it.
I think it would be interesting for everybody to hear, what was your biggest mistakes you made early on?
I'm not going to call it my biggest mistake. I'm going to call it my biggest lesson. My biggest lesson was that my readers are not me. Which means that just because I like something doesn't mean that my readers are going to like it. So when you are working on a creative product, and again, I have to make a distinction here. So if you're making art, if you're creating music for the sake of creating it, or if you're painting pictures for the sake of painting those pictures, you can't compromise your own preferences or your own creativity, because if you are going to start considering what other people are going to think of what you're creating, you're already compromising yourself. But in my case, this is a business. So even though there's a creative process involved, I have to be able to sell these products, right? So this was one of the earliest and biggest realizations for me, that I am not your reader. Just because I like this particular trope in a book or this particular twist in a book doesn't necessarily mean that my readers are going to like it. And I learned that the hard way. And the lesson in there, I suppose, is
how was the hard way?
To rely on the data.
Okay,
like look at what the readers want instead of looking at what I want. Because it is a business, right? So you need to ask yourself, okay, what is your goal with this? Do you want to create art? Because if so, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
But if you want to sell tens of thousands of books, then you better get your shit together and start looking at what your readers actually want from you.
Super cool point.
So I'm talking about this particular subject from a business owner perspective. But again, going back to the initial point, if you're an artist, you can't compromise your own values.
Sure. It's a bit different.
I think that's different.
Yeah, there's a lot of nuance here. I think this could be a topic for a whole interview in itself.
This could be a whole conversation, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, fantastic. And I'm looking forward to hear more about how things are going in Kuala Lumpur for you as well.
Yeah, me too.
Because that sounds
still very fresh.
super cool.
Yeah.
And it's such an amazing thing to be able to run a business from Southeast Asia, having clients all over the world, scaling products. Just sick, man.
It is the dream, man. It is. I am certainly living my dream, and I do love my life. And I don't think I ever thought that I'll get to be in this place. Yeah, it is very special.